So hello guys and happy new year everyone. So this is another brand new year for us to do our deck techs, whether in standard, pioneer, modern, and all of the upcoming sets that we would expect in this year. That of course new ideas, new strategies, new features, and the like that we're going to discuss on this channel. So we're going to start with pretty much the basic. What I mean of basic is that if you notice on this list preview, you saw a very old, you can say it as a classic card in those days. The card is corrupt, and this one is built around what this card describes. So it deals damage to any target equal to the number of swamps you control, and you will gain life equal to that damage dealt this way. That means we're going to go again mono black corrupt, or we can say call this one as mono black control in the standard format. So this one is one again user submitted deck list from MTG Goldfish. Thank you for this idea, sir. And we'll go through this build in which we have basically 0 creatures to work with, but that's not really the main issue here. But we're just going to go win straight away with our sorcery spells and our basically our planeswalker Sorin the Merciless. So we have 19 instants, very crucial instance there. 27 lands, 4 planeswalkers, and 10 sorceries. So we're going to break through each card of this build on the instant pile. We have Blood Pact. This is a 3 to cast instant where the entire player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Basically an enhanced version of Send in Blood, going from the 2 to cast sorcery up with 1 mana to have this one as castable at instant speed. So basically one of your card draws here in the deck that goes around with having those spot removals and support as to may be able to fill out your hand in the late game. So 3 copies of this in the deck. This is then followed by 2 cut downs. So aggro is again the main purpose wherein we would need to control the board early on. So we have 2 copies of this. And next is Depth to the Kami. This is sort of an edict effect wherein you can choose one wherein an opponent exiles a creature you control, or an opponent exiles an enchantment you control. It means that you can basically kill out Fable of the Breaker, Wedding Announcement, and other enchantment threats that may have your opponents would go with in order for them to develop their board. So this one is having 3 copies. At instant speed, we make sure also that we can curve out well and be able to get rid of their enchantment before they get their possible value there. That means not only those mentioned, but also other relevant saga spells in the metagame. Next, we have 2 copies of Demon's Due. This is just another version, improved version of the one we mentioned earlier. That is the Blood Pact. So Demon's Due goes with the bonus of Scry. So we'll be able to Scry 2 before you draw your 2 cards. That's basically looking at the top 4 cards of the library and exchange for the 2 life and the 2 cards. But that's not really a drawback here, since it's 4 mana cost. I think this would really turn out pretty well with just 2 copies that you should be able to draw out in the late game and make sure that your land drops would not be missing out in this deck. So next we have 2 copies of Go for the Throw. This is now the spot removal of choice in the metagame, but we should also have the copy of another solid, more unbiased spot removal instead of this one. So just having 2 copies to making sure that there are situations wherein we just needed to kill out an artifact creature of your opponent instead of the other one. So this is then followed out by 4 copies of Hero's Downfall. This is now reprinted in, if you check on this version, it's an uncommon in Crimson Bow. So this one, as mentioned, it's just a solid spot removal, not only for a creature, but also in killing out your opponent's planeswalkers. So 4 copies of those, making sure that you would have really the right answer at early as turn 3 as possible. So another support spot removal here is 3 copies of Infernal Grass. Again, this is a solid creature spot removal, but the cost of 2 life might be at times going to be a drawback to you. But nevertheless, with this build, we can really make sure that resolving a corrupt would really gain you life equal to the and remain the life that you have lost by casting this spell. So 3 copies of this in the deck. for the total of 19 overall in the instance. And now for the support card, along with the corrupt, as mentioned earlier, we also have copies of the rest. So it is also a classic card. If you remember this one, this is one of the go-to card before in this day that wherein you would be able to discard an uncreature non-land card from your opponent at early as turn 1 and be able to see what their strategy would look like in the succeeding turn. So this is very relevant in the main game early on, and at the same time, if going with the sideboard, I'm pretty sure you would also add 2 more of these copies in your list. So with this corrupt main source of damage, we can also go with Invoke Despair, since this is also Kamigawa Neon Dynasty in Standard Liga. This is still a good conclusion to have the deck to be able to deal with a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker. So at the drawback, if they can't do this sacrifice, they will lose 2 life, which is also a source of damage, and you will also draw a card and card draw in the process. So 4 copies of those, along with the last but not the least is our planeswalker. We have this version of Crown Dracula as Soren the Mirthless. So Soren again is acting as a card draw in a say that you may look at the top card library and you may reveal it and put it in your hand. Then if you do, you will lose life equal to that mana value. So in this build, there are times that you may have to face a corrupt in your top deck, but I'm pretty sure this would be your dire times when you would be needing to +1 Soren and to be able to draw a card. Unless, of course, you have done the scry of Demon's Due, and you will already know what the top 2 cards of your library would be. Then another source why Mirthless was a choice here instead of the usual Liliana of the Veil, because it can create threats at the same time that 2-3 black vampire creature tokens with flying and lifelink can be a good evader and also a damage raise source, because of the lifelinks with 2 damage means that that is a 4-point life swing between you and your opponent, and at the same time producing these tokens would not really hurt you much, because of we'll just go with plussing and minusing your loyalty counters of this planeswalker. In desperate times, if you'll be able to reach out up to the 7 loyalty counters, then that would be good to basically kill out any opponent with this 13 damage. So in supporting with this lands that we have, wherein we go with 26 basic swamps instead of just having several man lands or cycling lands, I think we could also add a few of them, like 2 or 3 copies here that can also produce the black color, wherein in the late game you can use them to cycle out to draw out your relevant spells. But anyway, we would still go with the basic here with only having swamps and a single copy of Takenuma to be used as utility card in the late game. But I think overall this would be a nice deck build as suggested in the website there. It's MTG Goldfish. Mana cost is averaging of 3.39. That's between 3.5 and 4. Maybe that's the very average cost with mostly and 10 and 3 and 6 copies of cards in the 4 mana value. But overall, I think we can have some changes if you needed. You can cap out a few blood packs, maybe 1 copy of this, to go with more copies of Duress or another discard spell, as we would be able to go with an improved version of a discard effect, wherein you would really go with discarding a non-land card that could also hit creatures that will be also relevant to stop your opponent's aggro. So I guess that's about it for this deck, our first deck tech for the year 2023 with Mono Black Control for Standard. If you're really going to have this list on your next grind session, let me know if what would be your observations, your highlights, and any changes that you may need to have in this build. Just comment it below on this video for any other inquiries that you may have about this deck. So I guess that's about it. If you like this video, just check on the lower right portion for subscription. Just click like and subscribe, and turn on notifications for more MTG content, standard deck strategies, booster pack openings, and the like. So that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Until the next time, and see ya in the next one.